What's in a name? A rose by any other name will still be a rose. This line from Shakespeare, unfortunately, means very little when it comes to the choice a voter makes in the election booth. For Uddhav Thackeray, the Election Commission's decision today may be nothing short of a Shakespearean tragedy. His rival, Eknath Shinde's faction, has now been allotted the name Balasahebanchi Shivsena. This literally means Balasaheb's Shivsena. Eknath Shinde's response has been to say, and I quote, "We are the inheritors of Balasaheb's thoughts." The reason is he gets to claim that his Sena belongs to Balasaheb Thackeray, the founder of the party and father of Uddhav Thackeray. Uddhav's faction will be called Shiv Sena Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray and has been allotted the symbol of a flaming torch. So Uddhav Thackeray gets to keep Shiv Sena as the primary name, but it is now attached to his identity. Shinde's faction is yet to get a symbol. They have to go back with more options to the EC tomorrow because all of the options they gave so far have been rejected. So what was the need for this rejig? The push has come because of bypolls to be held for the Andheri East constituency after the demise of the Shiv Sena MLA who had won the seat. These bypolls are to be held on November 3rd, and the Election Commission chose to freeze the bow and arrow symbol ahead of this election. It's key to note that the Shinde Sena is not contesting this bypoll, and the primary contest will be between the Uddhav Sena and the BJP. The Election Commission's decision to freeze the bow and arrow symbol was because the poll body needed more time to consider rival claims from both factions as to who gets the bow and arrow symbol and the name Shiv Sena. This decision has now been challenged. The decision to freeze the bow and arrow has been challenged by Uddhav Thackeray in the Delhi High Court. Now, the key question this evening is, before we go to my colleague Ketan Vaidya and play out for you what Aditya Thackeray said just a short while ago, but the key question is this move advantage Shinde? Because he gets to say, this is Balasaheb Sena. Or can Uddhav reclaim lost ground even without the name and symbol he believed to be his political legacy? How much will that matter? Let's first listen in to what Aditya Thackeray said a short while ago.
The new symbol, the new name, Shivsena Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray. We're extremely proud of Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray ji. He has worked as a chief minister earlier, saving thousands of lives in Maharashtra. We have been a truthful, honest government working for the people. Everyone knows how he has worked. It also has the name of Hinduism or Balasaheb Thackeray in it. Most importantly, the Mashaal is something we will take with pride to every home.
All right, I'm going across to my colleague Ketan Vaidya, who's joining us live to break down all of the developments and fast-paced action, Ketan, this Monday evening. Because they started, Uddhav Sena started, Ketan, by challenging what the EC is saying in the Delhi High Court, and now they have a symbol of the flaming torch. What really struck me is how quickly all of their creatives were out on all their social media platforms. That picture of Uddhav Thackeray holding up that torch symbol, all of that happened very, very quickly. They seem to be prepared for this, isn't it?
Well, clearly they seem to be prepared, and there has been a meme faced after this happened from the Uddhav faction because the rebel faction is called Balasahebanchi Shivsena, which means Balasaheb Shivsena, and this has, frankly, there is a lot of bitterness. This has not gone down well with the camp. But right now, they're taking it in jest. They are taking pot shots at the same time on the Eknath Shinde camp because they have a case lined up in the High Court where they have contested the very freezing of the symbol. And what they are saying is, I mean, I was informally speaking with a senior Sena leader, and he told me that it's like a chore bazaar of sorts. They have stole the name of the Sena patriarch, in whose house the birth pangs of the party were literally happened, and the party was born. So how can they steal the patriarch's name? So that is what the Sena faction seems to be saying. Now, a lot of what we heard from Aditya Thackeray is that for now, because this is a temporary arrangement, mind you, there is a caveat that this is only for the bypolls, and the hearing on who gets the real name or whether the bow and arrow symbol can be defreezed this hearing can continue post the by-polls. So for now, this is the caveat is that this is temporary. So the Shiv Sena is taking it in its stride.
Of course, it is temporary. No doubt it's temporary. And they're still waiting for the Delhi High Court to adjourn on it. They're waiting for the Election Commission for a final decision. The Supreme Court order on the disqualification of 16 MLAs is still pending. So all of that legal fight is still in the line. The question today, Ketan, and you spoke about the Sena faction feeling a sense of being robbed of the name Balasaheb. On the other side, is there jubilation?
Well, on the other side, they feel that they should have got, that is what Eknath Shinde said, that they should have got the bow and arrow symbol, which would have rendered some sort of legitimacy to their fight, because they said that 70% of the elected representatives of the party are with them. However, these things work on precedents, and the precedents, be it the 1970 Congress syndicate case or the Ramvilas Paswan's sons, the Chirag Paswan's case, the precedents have been that the EC, the hearing continues for long, and for the time being, they freeze the symbol. All in all, yeah. So this is where it is all headed. Tamanna?
Okay, so they have frozen the symbol for now. Ketan, thank you so much for joining us. You've been tracking this story from day one, so we were keen to understand your insights today. So thank you for that. I'm joined now by Dr. S.Y. Qureshi, former Chief Election Commissioner of India, Vaibhav Purandare, Senior Editor, Times of India, and author of Bal Thackeray and the Rise of the Shiv Sena. That's the name of the book. Kishore Tiwari, Shivsena, Uddhav faction representative, back on the show, as is Varun Singh. I'm welcoming back three of you after our conversation on Friday, and so much has happened. But I'm going to start with Dr. Qureshi's point of view. Dr. Qureshi, all through the day, the Uddhav Sena faction has been saying in no uncertain terms that they think the Election Commission has acted unfairly, which is why they've challenged the decision in the High Court of Delhi. Their claim is that if Shinde Sena is not even contesting the by-polls in Andheri, why should they or their claim on the symbol be considered? What's the hurry? Do you think the right precedent has been set by the Election Commission's decisions today?
You know, Election Commission has done what it should have done and what it has always done. Yeah, the symbol has been contested. There are two factions which have come to the Election Commission contesting that they are the real party and they were demanding the symbol. So the contest is already there. The moment there is a contest, the Election Commission has to take a call and decide which is the real Shiv Sena, which is the real party.
Right.
And if there is an election or a by-election coming before the final decision, they have to take what is called an interim decision, which is an interim name for the two factions and interim symbols, which is exactly what has happened today. There are two parties, two factions have got an interim name, temporary names, temporary symbols. And they say, I wrote an article exactly a week ago and I drew exactly the same scenario, which means no surprise at all. Election Commission has done what, exercising the only option it had. There is nothing else it could have done.
No, but so they had to freeze the symbols for an even playing field because they need to collect the affidavits and actually ascertain which Sena has more support. What about the names? Today, one side is saying that we are the true inheritors of Balasaheb Thackeray's thoughts. The other side is saying that we have been, quote-unquote, robbed because the name given to the Shinde Sena is literally Balasaheb's Sena, if I were to translate it into English from Marathi.
Yeah, actually, both sides, there also there is no surprise. They are both making allegations, which they always do, or the factions always do. Every faction feels that it has been wrong, and it wants everything the way it suits it. So therefore, that's not surprising at all, but it is very unfair to make allegations against the Election Commission. And they should remember, so the same Election Commission will finally decide in favor of one or the other. If both are accusing the Election Commission, with what face will they go to the Election Commission when the Commission takes a final call? So, for instance, I just heard that 6 o'clock the election, the one faction spokesperson was criticizing the election commission. Later on, 2 hours later, I heard that they were celebrating that they got the symbol, one of the three which they had opted for. Now, imagine the mood changes because some decisions will go in your favor, some will go against it, and then you start accusing the election commission. It is like accusing the court also. Oh, court is mixed up. Court, they must have taken some consideration. You know, that's the normal the reaction of many people, which is wrong, which is avoidable.
Okay, I want to bring in our other speakers on the panel as well. Kishore Tiwari, do you think it's a big blow that the Shinde Sena will be called Balasahebanchi Sena?
No.
Because they're getting to claim, they are the true inheritors of that political thought and legacy.
No, Tamanna, the people will decide. In fact, they are not contesting the by-election. And I am told that Eknath Shinde faction is likely to opt for a general election, Lotus as a symbol. So there is no issue at all. They want to discredit the Shiv Sena. But the name of the Shiv Sena, Uddhav Balasaheb Thackeray, is we are welcoming it. Dr. Qureshi says there is substance to that only because all agencies who are constitutionally bound to give the decision are under pressure. So the Tamanna, you try to understand, this is the fight to restore the democracy in the nation. Because we think, Dr. Qureshi, we think that autocratic behavior of Modi ji and Shah ji has brought this situation in Maharashtra. Qureshi ji, this is my opinion. With due regard to your impartial career, presently CBI, ED and all these things literally toppled my government. So now people will decide. We have taken the torch in hand to restore the democracy. And I urge Dr. Qureshi to join us. Okay, sir. Sir, I urge you to.
आपने अभी से campaign शुरू कर दिया as soon as the symbol has come. So full marks for your alacrity. But are you making a specific allegation on the EC? You spoke about CBI, ED, autocratic, etc., etc. जो EC ने किया ठीक ही किया ना? Because they had to freeze the symbol. अगर दो claimant हैं.
नहीं, देखो डॉक्टर कुरैशी जी ने अपना एक नाम रखा था, तो उन्होंने जो कुछ कहा उनका आर्टिकल भी मैंने पढ़ा था। फेयर है, अभी वो फ्रीज किया है हमने हाई कोर्ट में भी। भाई ये फर्जी लोग है, सिंबल फ्रीज नहीं होना चाहिए था, इसके लिए हमने लिखा क्योंकि हमारे डॉक्यूमेंटेशन हमने दिए। अब ये बात है कि लेजिस्लेटिव और पार्लियामेंट्री पार्टी अगर कोई पार्टी दूसरी नेशनल पार्टी चुरा लेती है तो ऑर्गेनाइजेशन तो हमारे साथ है, ये हमारा कहना है। अब हाईकोर्ट अपना कॉल लेगी, लेकिन इसी ने कॉल लिया है जिसमें उद्धव बाला साहेब ठाकरे जी का नाम है और हमें टॉर्च दिया है। तो अभी हमारी ये मॉरल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है कि हम टॉर्च पूरे देश में जलाए और जो तानाशाह की बस्ती है उसको उजाड़ दे। और तमन्ना जी आपकी भी बहुत जवाबदारी है, नहीं तो अभी गोदी मीडिया बहुत गड़बड़ कर रहा है, बहुत गड़बड़ कर रहा है।
ओके, हम हमारी हमेशा जिम्मेदारी रहती है। कुरैशी जी, डू यू वांट टू रिस्पॉन्ड टू एनी ऑफ द पॉइंट्स दैट किशोर तिवारी हैज मेड?
No. He said everything in lighter vein, I'm sure. So, because the election commission will not do anything wrong, and what they've done is, otherwise I would not written the same thing about a week ago. I'll ask Mr. Kishore Tiwari, did he find anything different from what I predicted about a week ago? Political development happened much later. But the fact that I just brought to public attention the rules and regulations and the precedents on which basis the only course action available to Election Commission is what they have now taken.
Okay.
डॉक्टर साहब ठीक हुआ आपने जो कोट किया।
Okay, Varun Singh. Okay, Kishore Tiwari is happy, Dr. Qureshi is happy, that's great. What about Varun Singh? Are you happy? Is Eknath Shinde camp happy? And is this going to be enough for them? And can you answer one puzzling fact? Why are they not fighting the Andheri by polls? If they're not fighting the Andheri by polls, what is all the fuss about?
Had politics been this simple, we would not have been sitting over here and discussing it. Why are they not fighting, or why are they fighting for the symbol? They want to retain the symbol. Why would today? Let me tell you a small thing. Eknath Shinde has 40 MLAs, and if the Shivsena of Uddhav Thackeray wins this Andheri bypoll election, his number automatically increases. Which, as a competitor, why would I want it? So better not to let them win. And also very strange, till 2014.
So it's like a... Yeah.
Okay.
So more than wanting to win yourself is to make sure that the other person loses.
Yeah, so that my majority remains. So that is what politics is about. Politics is about number game. And over here, if Uddhav Thackeray factions, Ramesh Latke's wife, would have won, she would have increased the number of MLAs supporting Uddhav Thackeray from 15 to 16 or 16 to 17, whatever it is. So, that a single increase also can cause a bigger damage in the future. And today, when I see the number and the names being allotted, I see it as a victory for the Shinde camp that someone till yesterday was not even officially being considered as a political party. Today has the name Shivsena attached to him. And that to Balasahebanchi Shivsena, which means Bal Thackeray's ideology wala Shivsena. So, I see it as a victory for the Eknath Shinde camp right now. They probably might not be contesting the elections. The BJP is sure to gain more from this because in 2019 elections, I remember one of the seats where BJP had decided to give its seat to RPI. Those people, the saffron voters, decided to vote for Shivsena because they couldn't associate the RPI symbol with the BJP symbol, and Shivsena won. So I am presuming that because there would be no Dhanush Ban, no bow and arrow, the BJP symbol would be pressed on the EVM button more by the saffron voters.
Okay, Vaibhav, I want you to come in on that. No, let me just get Vaibhav's point of view in quickly. Then I will come to you, sir. Vaibhav, the point that Varun makes, it's not so important right now for Shinde Sena to have grabbed the bow and arrow. ज़्यादा ज़रूरी था कि उद्धव के हाथ से वो छीना जाए, धनुष बाण, जो वो करने में कामयाब रहे हैं.
Tamanna, there's a fundamental question here which needed to be answered before this by-election took place. That question was, when there is a vertical split in the Shiv Sena and when the party's name and symbol are being claimed by two rival factions, if one faction goes ahead and uses that symbol for a bypoll, it strengthens its claim over that symbol. And if they go on to win that seat, in terms of the perception battle, the Uddhav Thackeray faction would have certainly won the perception battle by saying that, see, even voters are supporting us and they are supporting the fact that we have this particular symbol to ourselves. So there is this very fundamental question of whether one faction can use this symbol, which is why, as Dr. Qureshi, who has been the CEC earlier, correctly said that the EC had no option but to freeze this symbol, to give both sides a level playing field. So that is what the EC decision is all about.
Who is at an advantage this evening, Vaibhav? Who is at an advantage? Which side?
I would say that Eknath Shinde's side is at an advantage, okay? And I will explain why. The Uddhav Thackeray faction is giving its own positive spin to it, of course, by saying that, okay, there is the name Shivsena is there, which is a derivative of the original name Shivsena. It has retained that. At the same time, Uddhav Thackeray's name is there. Uddhav is the president of the Shivsena now. He is heading the party. And so is the name of Uddhav's father, Balasaheb Thackeray. But what has been Eknath Shinde's justification for his rebellion and for walking out of the MVA alliance and for toppling the government and for taking away 40 of the Shiv Sena's MLAs and 12 of the Shiv Sena's MPs with him? His claim has been that he is the true inheritor of Balasaheb Thackeray's political legacy. And look at the name he's got today, Balasahebanchi Shivsena. Balasaheb Shivsena. He couldn't have asked for anything better. This is a perfect name for him. He's got the Shivsena and he's got Balasaheb. And in fact, his name, the party's name now starts with Balasaheb. And if I may remind you of something that happened when Raj Thackeray left the Shiv Sena and formed his MNS, in a number of places, Raj Thackeray's people had put up Bal Thackeray's pictures on their posters and stuff like that. And Balasaheb Thackeray was around at that point in time. He was still very much alive. And he told Raj, you cannot use my picture on your posters. Please remove them. And Raj Thackeray had to remove them. Now, that is because Balasaheb Thackeray, the founder of the Shiv Sena, was still alive and he was heading the party. So he made a legitimate claim. Now, Balasaheb is no longer alive and the fight is for the political and ideological inheritance of his Hindutva ideology and legacy. So, Shinde has the upper hand today. But at the same time...
What is the subliminal? Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, Vaibhav, complete that thought. That thought.
What I want to say is that the Mashaal is not a bad symbol at all to get. It's a good, positive symbol for the Uddhav Thackeray faction to get. What is very clear now is the greater challenge is before Uddhav Thackeray and not before Shinde. Shinde has got what he wanted. Now, Uddhav Thackeray has to take a fresh guard and his faction has to start a new innings by looking at the field around him because there are too many slips. There's a short leg, there's a silly mid, there's a silly mid-on, there's a silly point. So there's a tough field there, but you can always take fresh guard to use a cricketing analogy.
Kishore ji, my cricketing analogies are not so good, so I will not take on from what Vaibhav has said. I will just say, are you ready for the match?
No. We are all the time ready for the match. We have taken the challenge. In fact, our fight is with the BJP, not with Eknath Shinde. He may return back after some time, having realized his fault, because all people
return,
who left...
मतलब आप लोग उनको वापस लेंगे? आप क्या बोल रहे हैं? वो वापस आएंगे, आप वापस लेंगे?
एक मिनट तमन्ना जी, राजनीति ऐसी होती है कि इसमें कुछ असंभव नहीं होता है। मैं एक बात बता रहा हूं कि इलेक्शन कमीशन ने आज जो निर्णय लिया, कुरैशी साहब कहते हैं और पुरंदरे ने भी कहा, अब ये एडवांटेज किसको रहेगा, क्या रहेगा, ये बाईपोल बताएगा। इंटरिम ऑर्डर है, इसका भी हम ड्यू रेस्पेक्ट रखते हैं, लेकिन बड़ा चैलेंज देश के सामने है और उद्धव जी पर्याय बोलकर देश का नेतृत्व करने जा रहे हैं। जो चैलेंजेस देश के सामने आए हैं, मैं कह रहा हूं
सर, आप क्या बोल रहे हैं? किशोर जी, एक मिनट। अभी आप कह रहे हैं कि एकनाथ शिंदे वापस आएंगे, अभी आप कह रहे हैं उद्धव जी देश का नेतृत्व करने जा रहे हैं, अभी हम अंधेरी बाईपोल की बात कर रहे हैं। जरा मतलब हम कॉन्टेक्स्ट में बातें रखें।
नहीं, एक मिनट बिताना। देखो तमन्ना जी, अंधेरी बाईपोल ये चैप्टर हमारे लिए क्लोज है, वहां हम बड़ी भारी मात्रा से चुन के आ रहे हैं। दूसरा, एकनाथ शिंदे ये हमारे लिए कोई भी मायना नहीं रखते। वो बाला साहेबा की शिंदे की बोलो या अपने पिताजी संभाजी शिंदे की बोलो, इसका कुछ नहीं फर्क पड़ता। मैं अभी बता रहा हूं कि हमने चैलेंज ले लिया है बीजेपी से और हम महाविकास आघाड़ी बोलकर महाराष्ट्र में उनको भाजपा को मुक्त करने जा रहे हैं। मैं बड़ा विचार रख रहा हूं और हमें इनकी चिंता नहीं है।
लेकिन सीरियस क्वेश्चन, किशोर तिवारी जी, सीरियस क्वेश्चन। आप सीजन्ड पॉलिटिशियन हैं और ये सबसे मैं पूछूंगी, हाउ इम्पोर्टेंट इज दैट सिंबल एंड द नेम फॉर द वोटर इन द बूथ? वो धनुष बाण कितने मायने रखता है कि वो अब उस वक्त नहीं है? आप टॉर्च की बात करें, बहुत ही बढ़िया सिंबल है, फ्लेमिंग टॉर्च, मशाल, लेकिन लोगों को आदत है, आपके वोटर्स को आदत है धनुष बाण देखने की, क्या इसका असर नहीं पड़ेगा?
देखो, मैं आपने बहुत अच्छा सवाल पूछा। हम लोग सोसाइटीज के चुनाव लेते हैं। कुरैशी साहब, भारत में साल भर चुनाव होते हैं, लोकल बॉडीज के चुनाव को पॉलिटिकल पार्टी नहीं होती है। हम वो 40 चुनाव एक बैलेट पेपर पे होते हैं, लेकिन पैनल को चुन के देते हैं सजग मतदाता। भारत के मतदाता बहुत सजग है और महाराष्ट्र के मतदाता उनसे भी सजग है। और जब मराठी अस्मिता और मराठी मानूस को खत्म करने की बात आ रही है, गुजरात से हम पे हल्ला हो रहा है, तो इसका मुकाबला महाराष्ट्र अस्मिता बचाने के लिए हम लड़ रहे हैं। कुरैशी साहब, जरा ज्यादा पॉलिटिकल हो रहा है, लेकिन मैं बता रहा हूं कि हमें सिंबल मायना नहीं रखता, हमें नाम मायना नहीं रखता है। उद्धव जी का चेहरा ही काफी है, अब तो क्रांति होने वाली है।
नाम मायने नहीं रखता है, सिंबल मायने नहीं रखता है, उद्धव जी का चेहरा काफी है. Varun Singh, I want you to respond to that and how it's being positioned. गुजरात महाराष्ट्र पे हावी हो रहा है. It's being positioned as an attack on Marathi pride.
To be honest, Kishore Tiwari, I have known him since the time he was siding with the BJP a few years ago, and now when he's siding with the Shivsena,
but that was all of Shiv Sena was siding with the BJP
I know.
a few years ago.
No. My answer, your answer to your question is in his own statement when he says that society election. He's comparing assembly election or MP election to a society election. The society elections comprises of a very limited number of voters. And now to go to lakhs of voters to convince them that not Dhanushaban, not something else, but vote for a Mashaal, it is Herculean task. And I'm sure, because, in 2014, BJP lost that seat only by mere 5,000 votes. And at that point of time, what was the advantage that Shivsena had was the bow and arrow symbol. Today, they do not have it. They do not have that symbol to go. And they will also have many Shivseniks who will be supporting Eknath Shinde. And I'm sure that BJP is winning this seat. And very sad to say that Congress, which held this seat till 2014, Mr. Shetty, who used to be the MLA, who also was the health minister of the state during the Congress NCP rule, that particular party is not even, trying to contest and supporting someone, losing, letting everything go. So such a bad situation for the Shivsena led by Uddhav Thackeray, because I can predict.
No, but if they're getting support of Congress who's not splitting the vote, it's a good situation for him. That's a leg up, isn't it? It's a leg up. Otherwise, Congress would have come and split the vote.
No, he is speaking like a BJP spokesperson. That is very bad.
Telling you that
is very bad.
It's very clear. Varun Singh is supporting Eknath Shinde camp, and of course Kishore Tiwari, you are supporting the Uddhav camp. So we're very clear what positions are here on a panel. You are official spokesperson. You are official spokesperson. We should be clear. We want to tell our viewers exactly what's happening. Vaibhav Purandare, we are calling upon you for your analysis of this party and its journey over the last several decades. And in that sense, do you think that the narrative is a little harsh on Uddhav, who's writing him off completely? And yes, he's been at the receiving end so far. If this was many bouts of boxing, he's been KO'd several times. But is it all over for him? Or can this Mashaal be a new beginning? And remember, it's a temporary symbol. That caveat is important.
No, you cannot really write off anybody in politics. You never know. See, if they win this by-election. Now, this by-election, they have to treat as a life and death matter, really, the Uddhav Thackeray faction, because this is the most significant election for them. And if they win it, they might get a certain momentum, which will help them, regain their confidence and give their cadre fresh morale. One thing that the Uddhav Thackeray faction can certainly keep in mind is the fact that they have fought elections on the Mashaal symbol in the past. In the 1980s, they have fought on the Mashaal symbol when they did not have the bow and arrow symbol, which they got only in 1989. They had very, very temporary symbols at that time. In fact, different people in different constituencies were contesting on different symbols. And when Bal Thackeray would go to a particular constituency, he would have to ask his candidate, what's your symbol? And then talk about that symbol. And then he'd go to a different constituency and talk about a different symbol altogether. So this thing happens. I think what is necessary for the Uddhav Thackeray camp is to get its act together. And one danger, I must say here, in the Andheri bipole is if the Congress and the NCP do not honestly support the Uddhav Thackeray faction. And I do understand what Varun was trying to say. What Varun was trying to say was that the Congress may be making noises that it's supporting the Shivsena led by Uddhav Thackeray, but it may not really come to its support when it comes to voting. And the Congress voter, the traditional Congress voter, may also not be very enthusiastic about voting for the Uddhav Thackeray faction. I think another point that the Uddhav Thackeray faction needs to keep in mind is the point that Dr. Qureshi made.
Then they will support BJP. Then they will support BJP.
No, one more. I want to say one more thing, that the Uddhav Thackeray faction is unfortunately making contradictory statements every time, because what they're saying is, one day they'll say that the EC is a lapdog. Then one Shivsena MP called it a bonded laborer. Now, it's so unfair to call an autonomous and a constitutional body like the EC a bonded laborer when you yourself have gone to the Supreme Court against the EC, and the Supreme Court has said, no, EC will decide on the symbol. Now, you are questioning, on the one hand, you are saying that democracy in India is in danger. Then you are attacking some of the most important institutions of democracy. So what's going on? And, if a decision goes in your favor, you are cheering it. If a decision goes against,
I think
you,
the EC is used to that. Dr. Qureshi, that's very routine for the Election Commission in various ways. You face flack from all parties. Come election time, whenever stringent action is taken against one party, another party says you're being unfair. So I think that's nothing new for the Election Commission.
Yeah, but it is something new
face...
for it. But it's odd for the for popular perception when the Uddhav Thackeray faction says these things.
So the questioning of autonomous bodies is par for the course in opposition politics right now. I just want to give Dr. Qureshi, the final closing comment with this question. Dr. Qureshi, I'm sure you want to come in on a lot of things that have been said, but the importance of the symbol. And I know it sounds like a bit of an academic question, but it's important to understand, to contextualize why there is such a fight for the symbol.
Before I come to that, Tamanna, let me first tell you that the Election Commission feels very happy when both parties are criticizing it, which shows that it is doing something right. So Election Commission doesn't bother.
Even we in the media feel very happy when all parties criticize us.
Should be given the power of... Yeah, so that shows that Election Commission is not in populist game. It is doing its job very well. So Election Commission, the health is not affected. And second thing about the importance of the party symbol, I think it should not be overstated, because I will take you back 53 years. The very first split which happened in the Congress, when two bullocks was the symbol, and they were frozen, and they are still frozen. And a new symbol was given in interim, and Indira Gandhi romped home with a thumping majority. Later on in 1978, another split, and the symbol was frozen. The cow and calf is still frozen till today. Another symbol, she still romped home with a thumping majority. So therefore, symbol has limited value, but ultimately it is the party, and especially in today's the media age and social media age, where a new symbol will be known to the entire Andheri constituency by lunchtime tomorrow. So therefore, the symbol should, and in any case, the permanent symbol will be restored when the decision is finally taken in favor of one party.
That's a great thought. You've actually put it into context for us. There's a minimal or a limited use of the symbol, and then it comes back to good old politics. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us on the lead story this evening. It's definitely